in some ways you can say like, oh, back in the days, everything was better. But at the same time, you were extremely limited to the people that you were seeing and the people that you had as a potential partner. You open your phone now, you have like, I don't know, 1,000, 10,000 people that you can like match with.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Come On Man. If you haven't done so already, please like, fave, subscribe, hit those notifications. If you are listening on your favorite audio platform of choice, please give us a 5-star review and actually write out why you like the show. Say it every week. Come on, guys. And if you are watching on YouTube, you know what to do. Drop a comment. Any comment will do. Just, your favorite emoji. I don't care. You can talk about my Impact Wrestling beanie. It is beanie season again. You know what I mean? It's cold outside. It snowed. So at the time of this recording, the recording of this intro, it finally snowed. We got the first snow on the ground outside my studios. And so I'm pretty excited about that. I want to give a quick shout out to the Patreon, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. There's 5 tiers available. The lowest tier is only $5. So if you like the show, if you tune in every week and you really want to help support the show and keep more episodes coming, then consider joining the Patreon at, for as little as $5 a month. It's like giving up a cup of coffee, like I think a cup of Starbucks is like $5 these days. So skip Starbucks 1 week, join the Patreon, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. Link is in the description. Also, get on my email list and you can get some free stickers. Here's one of them. Not a nice guy. There's 3 stickers available. One's red-pilled. One is the not a nice guy, and then the other one is based on Ric Flair, something that Ric Flair used to say, which is, for the ladies, none of you can be first, but all of you can be next. So get those. I will mail those to you free of charge, postage paid. You don't have to send me anything. Just get on the email list. That's list.comeonmanpod.com, or click the link in the description and sign up. All right. Joining me this week is an interesting guest. I met this guy through matchmaker.fm, which is a site that, puts guests together with podcast hosts. I've had other guests on from that site before, so sometimes there's some gems with that. And this guy just had an interesting story. So he created a company called Hovalo. And what they do is they do outsourced dating. So if you're a busy professional, like a lawyer, or, maybe you're a CEO of a company or something like that, you really want to meet women, but you just don't have time for it. You know what I mean? Like, you're working on your purpose, you're busy as hell, you're stacking that cash. You don't have time to be on dating apps, and you don't have time to go out and cold approach or whatever. You could outsource this. It's a fascinating concept. The guy who created it, his name is Koen Geron, I think. I am terrible with names. In fact, if you listen to the intro, I butcher it so bad. But anyways, his name is Koen. I do know that that's how you pronounce his first name, Koen. And he was a good guy, fascinating story. The way that they handle the outsourcing of the dating apps is pretty unique. Which is I don't know if I would necessarily recommend that myself, but I mean, I'm also a guy that likes to be more hands-on with stuff like that. But if you're a busy guy, this might be the solution for you. So at least listen to the story, because it's fascinating. We also talk about other stuff like single moms and whatever. And I will bring you that conversation right after these words. Hey, you, I'm going to make this real quick. I know you hate ads. If you like this show, if you love this podcast, if you think more men should tune in, then you should consider joining my Patreon. You will be supporting the show, and I get to help more men level up their lives. There's now 5 tiers available. starting as low as $5 a month. It's like buying me a beer, and each tier gives you better bonuses. Visit patreon.com/comeonmanpod to sign up. That's patreon.com/comeonmanpod. One last time, that's patreon.com/comeonmanpod. Help me help more men level up and be better with women. All right, joining me from the Netherlands this week is Koen Geron. I'm not pronouncing this
Geron.
right.
It's fine.
Geron.
You can say whatever you want.
Koen Geron. I'm terrible with names. Anyway, he's a man that has quite a big following on TikTok and Instagram, as well as the founder of Hovalo. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yes.
Okay. Hovalo, which is a unique company that does outsource online dating management. What's going on, Koen?
Yeah, things are good. I'm flying again in 1.5 weeks. So I'm glad to get out. I've been in the Netherlands for a little bit, and I'm going to Tirana, Albania in 1.5 weeks. 1.5 weeks. So excited for that.
What's taking you out there?
It's actually quite a nice place. That's one of the reasons. I've been there before, and it's a very nice place to live, like very high quality living standards in general. People are very relaxed and mild. People associate the place with a lot of like crime and stuff like that, which is kind of understandable because like Albanians are a little bit known for that in the Western world. Okay. But when they get home, they don't commit any crimes anymore. So it's an extremely safe country and very fun. A lot of cool people there. So yeah, it's a great place. Interesting.
Yeah. Albania. There's certain countries it never clicks in my mind. Like, yeah, I could live there. I could. That's a place that people live, you know?
Yeah.
Of course people live there. Yeah.
One of the reasons I think is like the same reason why I went there is like COVID went down. So like COVID happened and all the places were locked down, and the Netherlands was like not a very fun place to be. So I was like, okay, I'm not really going to go there. Thailand was having a lot of troubles as well. So there were a bunch of places that were shutting down. Vietnam was just fully locked down. There was no way you were getting into Vietnam. So there was a lot of places where you just couldn't go to. Right. So then I was going through like the passport index to see, okay, so which countries can you go to, right? So then I was in a couple of places, and for example, Albania, you can stay there for like 3 months without much hassle visa wise. So we just go there for 3 months, and then I would go to the next place. So I've also been to Bosnia during COVID, and I've also been to Serbia during COVID, and I've been to Tbilisi, Georgia. Okay, Tbilisi, Georgia. That's the biggest recommendation, I think. If you ever go in that direction, if you ever cross the big ocean, go to Tbilisi, Georgia. Okay, interesting. None of these places are things that I've ever been like, I would like to visit that place. Yeah, I understand. But they're not. But they're pretty cool places to visit, huh? Would you live there full time, do you think? I'm debating about making Tbilisi like a potential like a home base. Okay. Yeah, because it has a lot to offer. Like right now, it's being stocked with Russians because a lot of Russians go from Russia to Georgia because it's the neighboring country, and there's a lot of Georgians speak Russian as well. They do have their own language, but a lot of them speak Russian. So, but overall, it just has a lot to offer the place. So that's why I'm considering moving there. And like visa-wise, tax-wise, business-wise, it has a lot to offer. The only negative, like the only downside with those places is like getting in contact with like content creators, stuff like that. You're just handicapped. You're just like not existing, you know? Like if you're in America, there's so many opportunities there. There's so many people you can collaborate with and meet with and do cool stuff with. Yeah. That stuff is like not really available in like a lot of other places.
Well, you can always do something like this online, collaborate. Because I've never done any kind of collaboration in person, really.
Really?
Yeah, I don't even have the equipment for it. I don't think if someone was like, "Hey, I'll fly out to you. Let's do a podcast together," I'd be like, "Ah, crap! I would have to buy, like podcast like microphones and stuff to actually do it." So, but yeah, so you could always do something like this. So
so, online stuff works.
So Koen, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah. So the quick rundown. So about myself, I'm 30 years old, plus minus. And so originally from the Netherlands, used to study accounting, then realized like, hey, there's more out there. Do I want to go this route and have to be stuck in an office from 9 to 5 or more like 8 to 6 for the rest of my life? Or is there more out there? So I realized, hey, I think there is. So then I rolled into online marketing aspects. Within online marketing, I did SEO. So I did SEO for a bunch of years, traveled to different places. So I lived in Budapest for a while. I lived in Thailand for 2 years. I lived in Vietnam, those kind of places. And like I've been interested in getting to know how the whole girl thing works for more than 10 years now. Like the way I rolled into that was that I had a girlfriend, and my girlfriend, she broke up with me. But like that's one thing. That's like a bad thing on its own.
Almost everyone I've met that's gotten into this space, it's happened. It's happened because of one girl and a breakup. And they're like, what did I do wrong? And they go looking for answers.
Yeah, that was the exact reason. And it wasn't only that, like she went with my best friend. So at the same day, I lost my girlfriend and my best friend at the same time, right?
Okay.
So like you're just crushed at that. So then you're like, okay, then it's really me, you know. If she goes for the guy who's sitting next to me, then you're like really confronted with like, no, it's you.
Yeah, and so your friend's I think dick. That's yeah.
He for sure is. So yeah, so then I realized I'm grateful for how everything went, because it started like if you have some self analysis, you can see like, okay, there's something wrong, right? Mm-hmm. Just when like car breaks down, that's a similar situation. So if your car breaks down, you need to bring it to a mechanic. So what do you do as a young guy? You type into Google how to get your ex-girlfriend back, right? So yeah, so that's how I rolled into that. So I went out a lot for years and years and years on end, but that was kind of like my side hobby, so to say. Sure. I'd say. So there's mostly business and then just meeting girls on the side. And at a certain point, I was working on my projects, on my websites. So I would build websites, compare products to each other, and then based on that, I would guide the visitor to the right product for the lowest amount of price. So that's what I would do. And then I realized while I was working so much on it, I realized my dating was just going down the drain, because I didn't really want to go out a lot, because it takes a lot of time and effort. It does, a lot of time and effort, and also money, energy. Like it takes up so much of your time if you want to go party, go clubbing, all those kind of things. If you want to do those things, it just takes a lot away from you. And I just didn't want to have that. I didn't want to be in a situation where that was the case. So then you end up with online dating, right? Mm-hmm. So you would do online dating. And then I realized like, hey, in my 5-minute break, when I'm trying to schedule a date as soon as possible, like that isn't going super smooth, because there are some rules regarding, but at the same time, I was like, listen, I know how girls work. I was like, I should be able to just meet up and get it fixed and like get it sorted. Like I have a track record of like being very good at this stuff. How the heck am I struggling with this, you know? Yeah. And I was like, also, I'm not ugly or anything like that, you know? If I was like extremely ugly, I would understand it, but that's also not the case. So I was just flabbergasted. I was like, what's going on here? Mm-hmm. So I realized that it was
I do find though that on online dating, the sooner that you go to set the date, like the better though, you know, like banter no more than about 10-15 minutes worth before finding a segue to set that date, because otherwise like some guys get in the habit of just texting for days or weeks on end before getting around to it, and then women are like they're done, but
they don't even say it. They're like
won't
just
ever say
for a week. They're like there are some guys who have the illusion that like you just text as long as you can, and at a certain point they end up on a date, but they're okay with them not asking it out, and they are not going to ask it out, so somewhere it just magically happens.
Right, that's not how any of this works. So I didn't mean to cut you off there, but yeah, that's
no, it's a to be honest, like one thing that I've noticed with that is very depending on the girl, and that's also like one of the harder parts. Is like you kind of need to like figure out, okay, what kind of girl are we dealing with? Because some girls, they would want to get being asked out within 5 messages. Yeah. And the other girl will be like, whoa, you're going way too fast. Like, slow down. This is going to take a couple of days, if not a week or two.
Those women, I'm like, we're done.
Yeah. Because you have different variants. Yeah.
I look at those women as time wasters, you know? I'm like, look, I'm not here. I'm here to meet people in person. So if you're not comfortable doing that, then best of luck. And then I unmatch.
That's also the case. There is also a certain group that is not even looking to meet anybody, right?
Oh, right.
So,
yeah, they're just on there for that text validation. They're not trying to meet anybody in person. Yeah. I had a guy in the comments of one of my TikTok videos say it the best. He goes, dude, some women they use dating apps like other people play Candy Crush. They're just on there for that fun, let's match up. Let's see how we can, communicate with this guy, but we'll never meet up in person. So you really got to weed those women out. That's what I found.
Yeah. I think if like Tinder or something, if they would gamify it, where like the more matches you get, the better your score, or the more conversation you keep going, the higher your score, it would totally ruin it. It would even make it worse, Like
it would. Yeah.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
That'd be a terrible algorithm ad. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's so I realized that there was like something missing, and that wasn't clear cut, super easy to do. I think that's the right way to subscribe it, because it's doable. It's doable for a lot of people, but it's not like, hey, you're an average Joe, you get on the app and tomorrow you have 10 girls lined up, right? That's just not how it goes. That's just not.
That's not.
So
how
there's
it goes,
there's a ways to optimize things. There's ways to make sure that you're never getting a date. Like, so you can optimize everything, but in general, it takes a while to get good. So even if you have some experience with girls, it will still, you need to tick all the boxes. If you don't tick the boxes, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
And because I realized that, I was like, okay, what I might want to do is, because I have this certain need, I think this would be a cool project to work on. And I finished one project that I was working on, and then I was at crossroads. Do I want to keep going? Because I had everything for the business that I used to have. I had everything in place, like all the systems. I knew everything. I knew a lot of people in the industry, like a lot of high-end people. So I knew all the information that was out there. So everything was already established for me, right? Like I was doing everything correctly in that niche. So I had to leave all that behind to start something that's completely different. So I was like, but the question I always ask myself and ask other people when they're coming with like meaning issues is like, if you would have 100 million, so not 1 million, because 1 million you can blow that within a year if you're or a month, depending on how well you live. But so if you have a lot of money, so if you have 100 million, what would you do? Because then the incentive of like earning more money is gone. For 100 million, you never have to earn any more money. So the incentive for money is gone. So what would you want to do? And a lot of people, young people, guys, they want to have purpose in life, right? So they want to do something. They don't want to be like, okay, I'm just going to make 5 women pregnant and I'm going to play with kids. It's probably not going to make them happy.
Yeah.
So they want to have some sort of venture. So then it's like, that was the same question I asked myself. And then the answer is, okay, I want to have some sort of venture, and something of venture I help other people with, because that's the easiest way to get meaning. I think like helping other people and getting a kid, that's the 2 easiest way to get meaning in life. Like, that's just like sometimes I have a friend of mine, sometimes it's like, I just have too little meaning. And then always as a joke, we just say, you should get a child. You should definitely get a child.
Just adopt a kid. They're easy. Yeah, they're easy. You clearly don't have kids. Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay, I have 2 kids.
I do want to have children.
They're not easy.
I do want to have children.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. I think I want to have like 5 or something. I think I want to have multiple, because I do think like there's a lot of value in like, and I'm totally fine with adopting kids as well. I'm totally not against the idea of like having children. I'm actually working on a video right now about if you should date single mothers, yes or no.
Oh, what do you think about? What's your take on that? Because do you know who Rich Cooper is? Yeah. So I interviewed Rich Cooper months ago, and I'm one of those guys in the space that I'm like, single moms can be great, especially if you're a single dad. But if you're a single guy that doesn't have kids yourself, like, you have no business dating a single mom. That's my take on it. But what's your take on it?
Yeah. So interesting fact, like my parents divorced when I was like 4 years old. So I come from a family where my mom is a single mom, or was a single mom, and my dad was a single dad, right? But they both found new partners. So I saw both sides of the spectrum, so to say. But at the same time, I understand that, like, if you have the option between 2 identical girls and one has a child, like, you know it's a negative. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's definitely not a no, it's a negative.
Yeah,
it's a clear negative.
Yeah, you can say that safely on this show. Like my audience is like 99% dudes, so you're good. You're
good.
safe. You're in a safe space here.
I'm in a safe space. That's nice here. It's reverse safe space nowadays. Huh?
You can't say stuff like that on TikTok. I mean, you'll get a lot of views, but you also get a lot of hate too, and you get your video reported
and a ban very quickly.
Yeah,
but So in general, there are upsides because like if you get to well, same with adoption, but if you get like a partner who has a child, there's definitely some upsides to the whole thing. So I think it's somewhere in between. I'm not 100% against. I'm definitely not 100% against it. It's also like if you're a guy, women most of the time, if they're not completely delusional, which some are,
yeah.
But if they're not completely delusional, they will realize that it's not an asset. Mm-hmm. Therefore, they will see like if this is their value stack and this is your value stack, they will be like, okay, I have a child, therefore my value stack goes down. I should find a guy that is also like a value stack like a little bit lower, right? They're not in the delusion like, hey, I'm gonna get the cream of the crop kind of guys because even though I have children walking around,
right.
A lot of them realize that. Not all, but a lot of them realize that. So there's some upsides and some downsides. So upsides is that you don't have to deal with diapers, all that kind of stuff. The upside is as well, like sometimes you wouldn't have to necessarily be extremely involved into the relationship. So for some guys, it's better if you're not extremely involved in a relationship, so a little bit more towards the background. So you don't live with the woman, for example, or you just visit, or so you don't have to deal with those kind of things, right? So you have the more of a fun approach, that you're dealing with more of the fun side of the kids. Because at the end of the day, probably like when there's something wrong with the child, the mother has to deal with it. You're the person who doesn't necessarily have to deal with it and go talk like, hey, you're a bad child. The mother does that. Yeah,
that's what I recommend too, is let her parent her kids, you parent your kids. Don't try to parent each other's kids, and everything works out great.
Yeah, but I do think it's like I think it's a bad thing to see them as like this very low value type of person or something like that. Yes, their value goes down a little bit, but you need to be realistic. We live in a world where like half the people get a divorce. So there's so many people that will end up as single mothers. And you cannot be like, hey, by the way, for your own mental health, don't date single women. That's not a good solution to the problem, because like just doesn't work out, because then you'll just end up with a situation where you have tons and tons of single women, and some are great. They manage their children great. There's tons of upsides to it. Like, I think that's just too easy to say. It's more clickbait and less realistic. That's also why I made the video, or working on the video, because I'm like, I think there's a need to have a more realistic approach about it. And I've seen it because my mom dated a dude and that all went good. Like, we had a nice interaction, like we appreciated each other, all that kind of stuff. So it's not like, oh, my mom has children and it's never going to work out. I'm not saying that there were never struggles. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Sometimes there were some struggles, and sometimes we had some conversations and some discussions and all that kind of stuff. Logical. Yeah. But at the same time, we kind of loved each other, right? So he did a lot for me. I'm eternally grateful for the thing that he done for my mother. That's like one of the big things, I think. Like the fact that if you, as a guy, treat the mother well, then the children see that. They will appreciate that a lot. Because at the same time, with a lot of divorces, at least with the divorce of my parents, for example, like they didn't end up well. Like they were both very nasty against each other, right? Mm-hmm. So then it's very nice if you have somebody who is taking care of your mother. Because like as a guy who has as a child of a single mother, you will also always like very protective over her, right? Because you're like, I need to take care of my mom. Like I care for my mom. So if some guy comes along, that will create respect among each other.
Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Long conversation about single mothers, hey?
Yeah. So yeah, we went off sort of on a tangent there, the single mom tangent from you were telling us all about how you were getting into setting up Hovalo and how I was going to ask you, so you said you did a lot of SEO and stuff like that. You also your bio on Matchmaker FM. That's where Koen and I connected. That it's a great site for if you guys are if you're a podcaster or whatever and you're looking for guests. Matchmaker is great, but so your site, your profile said that you came from affiliate marketing as well. I mean, what kind of affiliate marketing?
Yeah, that's SEO. So that's what I would do. So I would rank I would have a website. I would rank it in Google on certain terms, right? So you would compare, let's say, different microphones. So you compare different microphones with each other. So you would do research. Okay, which microphones are the best ones out there? And then you would use Google as your traffic source. So you would write articles and build backlinks and those kind of things. You optimize your website from A to Z all the way to get traffic on, like, what's the best microphone for you? What's the best microphone under $100? What's the best microphone USB? Those kind of things. So then you would get those visitors. The visitors would come in. You would give them an article to read or a video to watch. And then afterwards, you would help them with their purchase. And then you would send them through to, for example, a place like Amazon. So that's like the affiliate type that I would do, is like, in general, larger brands, larger established things. So not necessarily something niche, more like broader ones.
Gotcha. Okay. So you do that for companies to help them sell their products, basically.
Yeah, kind of. Like there's a lot of like middle people. So there's a lot of like affiliate, like where you can go as like a content creator or a website, and then you go and you look at all the different websites that have affiliate programs running. Because like nowadays, like more and more companies and also courses and whatever, they have affiliate programs purely to just generate more traffic. And
so
sales.
would you get paid from the affiliate program, or were you like consult? Okay,
it depends on the source. Right? So if you are dealing with Amazon, you get paid directly from Amazon.
Right.
So I think pretty much everybody can sign up for Amazon.
Yeah.
So you would just go to, I think affiliates.amazon.com. And then once you do that, you sign up, and then you have to say like, hey, I'm promoting this and this. So for example, for you, it would be like, hey, I'm promoting it on my podcast. And then it would accept you, and then it would verify that you're the owner of the medium that you say that you own, right? So you cannot say like, well, I own the Joe Rogan podcast.
Right.
They're like, oh, really?
Gotcha.
So you verify it, and then you would do that. That's how a lot of the YouTubers have the link in bio, and then they would link, for example, to that specific thing, to like microphones, cameras, whatever.
Gotcha. Kind of okay, yeah, because I'm an affiliate for Duke Cannon products, so I have a link in my bio for Duke Cannon, so I get a kickback when people buy Duke Cannon products. So, but that's what I was asking. Like, if you were getting paid to buy the affiliate, or were you setting these up for people that were doing affiliate marketing and you were getting paid to create websites? So I set them up for myself. Okay. So then you took that, and then you decided, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to help guys get laid, basically.
Well, it was more geared towards like, I want to help people get like a relationship, because that's in general like the most of the clientele we get is like more geared towards relationship instead of like hooking up.
Gotcha.
So but you like, also, hey, you can also say it like that.
It's just funnier to say it that way. So
it is.
So also on your bio, it says like, let's talk about how money got involved in finding love. And that just made me think about like when I was a kid, right? When I was a kid, before the World Wide Web, there was game shows like Love Connection when I was a kid. Like that was probably the closest thing to money being involved in dating or whatever. Otherwise, it was really, people were, dating their coworkers. They were meeting people out, cold approaching.
Coworker. Church used to be like one of the biggest ones, actually, like church and social circle.
Yeah. But now it's a major industry.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how money got involved.
Yeah. So that's like, because when there is demand, supply, right? That's the whole supply and demand is the name of the game when you think about how this evolved in that way, right? So there was because like in some ways you can say like, oh, back in the days everything was better, but at the same time you were extremely limited to the people that you were seeing and the people that you had as a potential partner. You open your phone now, you have like, I don't know, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 people that you can like match with and all that kind of stuff. So it's the amount of people that you can connect with nowadays. It's like, it also does a lot, right? So we cannot say like, hey, they're all evil, but at the same time, They are a little bit.
There's some scammers out there. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot, right? There's also like mail order brides, you name it, like people that get hired to do fake texting. That is also a big thing, right? So you would have platforms, and also like a lot of the platforms that start, they would hire operators that would do the texting for them. So they would pretend that they're females and then just try to keep the conversation going as long as possible in order to get more people on the platform. Like that's kind of like how a lot of those platforms start. I'm not sure if Tinder did that exactly, but that's kind of like how a lot of the platforms start, and how certain platforms are still running that are like hyper specific, like, hey, if you want to have like a Russian wife or whatever.
Yeah.
1 second. Let me try to switch my internet too.
Well, while you're doing that, that reminds me that there's a site that's very much like TikTok called Clapper. And I was putting videos on Clapper whenever I got banned from TikTok, and it's the same way. Like they have like fake commenters. They have like people that are, fake liking your video to try to keep you on the platform so that you feel like you have the same kind of reach as TikTok, but it's all fake. And I finally decided like I'm going to stop uploading my stuff there because it's really a waste of my time because everything's fake. But so there's definitely I've noticed that on some of the lower end dating apps that there's going to be sort of bot accounts that are trying to keep you interested. Yeah.
To be honest, I wonder sometimes if that's the same case with TikTok as well. If there's some inflation going on with the number of views that you're getting, because it wouldn't even surprise me, and I don't think it would hurt them as well. So I think TikTok is also like a very shady platform in a lot of ways.
Oh my God, yeah.
But hey.
I've got lots of questions about for you about TikTok. but
TikTok is weird. It's a weird platform.
It really is. So going back to dating apps though. So I often say that dating apps don't suck. Men just suck at using dating apps. What are some of the biggest mistakes people make with online dating, do you think?
I agree. I think in general, profile is the biggest one, because it's also like not a strength of guys in general, like, because profile, a lot of it is pictures, right? Like you're not going to tell me that guys like on their Sunday, they're like, oh, let's go out to the park and make some photos. That's not what guys do. The amount of people that I talk with that are like, they've done incredible things with 0 photos. It's a lot. Like one of my best friends, he's lived in Thailand for a gazillion years, and he has like 3 photos of it, and 3 bad ones as well. They're not even good photos. So this is a guy who's like an entrepreneur, has a bunch of money, super cool lifestyle, has tons of things going on. And when you look at his profile, you're like, this he's not very exciting. There's such a differentiating factor between how reality is versus how his profile is. So I totally agree with you with that aspect. Is like online dating is not necessarily bad. People just don't know how to use it. Yeah. And that's
where your company comes in, right?
Yeah. So that's pretty much like what we help our clientele out. So we would just do all the difficult stuff kind of for them. So we would help them which photos, with taking photos, which photos to take, selecting photos, editing photos. When they have a profile, doing the matching. So we would set up a profile, or like we would set up criteria where we're like, okay, this is kind of like the person that he's attracted to, right? So you have certain criteria like, okay, how height, age, personality, location, if they have children, yes or no, all those kind of things. They would set up in like a preferred partner. That's how we call it. Yeah. And then we also have a client description. So we also figure out, okay, so who is the client? Where does he, what does he do for a living? How tall is he? Where does he live? What is his hobbies? Where does he come from? All those kind of things, we would establish that as well. So we get an image of like, okay, this is our client and this is what he's looking for. We need to make sure that's a little bit realistic, right? Like, you cannot be like, I want to date Victoria's Secret models. And then at the same time, not really work out, right? So we are always realistic with our clients, as in like, okay, we think this is a doable situation, yes or no. And then when you have that, we would go to the text conversation. So a part of our clients, they would have already used online dating, right? So they will already been on dating apps and stuff. So we would go to the message that they've sent. And then based on those messages, we will make a database of the messages that they have. And then we can analyze, okay, how are they texting? Plus, we can actually use the lines that they are using.
Oh, so, okay, yeah. Because I was going to ask about that part. Like, if you're the guys are doing the ones, or if you guys are actually doing it soup to nuts, you're doing all the work for them. You're actually doing the conversations for them. Like, how do you guys do it in a way where when the guy actually meets the girl in person, he's still congruent with what he was online? Because I think a lot of guys try to do that. They have their roommate, text for them, and they meet in person with the woman. The woman's just like, who the fuck is this guy? This is not the same guy that was on the dating app. I sent you a link of my friend Chuck, who basically did that. He paid his roommate to outsource his dating for him, but his process was like, these are cut and paste. You put this in every single thing. And so it was congruent because that's how Chuck is. He's very, cut and
direct.
Paste. Yeah. So you guys would actually work. You guys would actually look
depends if we have access to it, right? Not everybody has access to that. But regarding, because that's like a very big concern, or a very common concern that we're getting, like, how do you stay congruent to the person that you portray yourself online? Well, one of my responses with it is always like, for one, every time I meet a girl online versus how she's in real life, they're not the same.
That's true.
All.
That's a good point.
There's just no congruency there either. There's like, all the women are like, look at me. And then you meet them in real life. They're like,
all these women are out backcountry skiing and fucking skydiving and shit like that. They don't live like that, guys. They don't.
Yeah, and it's also like they're just timid, and they're like they're a lot more quiet, and like stuff like that. It's like, it's very easy to come across as a very good conversationalist while you're on an app, right? Yeah. And women in general have a lot of experience with like texting on apps, right? But in real life, it's just a little bit different. Yeah. So I think that's the case. But with women, same with men. It's just like, how are you able to portray yourself via a format where you can only have letters? It's not doable. It's not doable to have, because you're so limited in the amount of communication that you can convey purely on those, purely on the letters that you're sending. That's also like, in general, when you're trying to create attraction, you're just trying to blow that up, right? There's only so much that you can do with letters. So, for example, having an Instagram, that is good. Or, for example, in Bubble, you can send voice messages. Like, that feature of sending voice messages can do a lot, depending how good the guy is with voice messages. But it can do a lot because, like, you are able to actually portray how you come across. Because the same two lines that you sat on a dating app saying like, so I was thinking, do you want to go out? Or, so I was thinking, when do you want to go out? Right? It's the same exact line, but the way it's sat, it's totally different.
It's the tonality. Yeah. That's one thing I highly recommend to guys out there is, even if you get it, if your dating app doesn't allow voice messages, get her off onto your texting app, because the texting app usually allows voice and video, and you can send like videos of yourself too, and chicks love that because they see like all your body language, they see what you're working with. They eat that shit up. They totally do.
Totally agree. Yeah, it's true. Like the more, so the reality about attraction is like, the more you're able to convey that you're a certain type of person that she wants to match with and date with, hook up with, all those kind of things, the higher your chances are for success. So you want as many points as possible. So like online dating is very minimum in some apps, but other apps, for example, but if you can use Instagram, where you can do other things as well, right? Not only have the texting part, but also have social proof part, for example. You can have more pictures, but at the same time. So sometimes we have a client, we do a great job on his dating profile, right? You would have a client that's like okay looking, right? So like normal looking, but you would boost his profile to make sure that everything is top notch. We would spend all this effort, and then they have an Instagram with like 100 pictures, of which some he looks just like a 2 or a 3, right? That are just going to hurt his profile so much. So we make sure to delete those from his dating profile. And if you have a client that's like, oh, let's text on Instagram, just doesn't work, because then they go to Instagram, they check out all the other photos, and I'm like, shit, this is not right.
It's
So
not
if
the
you
same
have
guy.
a dating
Yeah.
profile and you want to use your Instagram profile as well, you better make sure that your Instagram profile is just as good as your online dating profile. That you cannot have pictures that are like borderline extremely bad, where you look borderline like a 2 on.
Yeah.
That's not, because people will judge you for your worst picture.
Oh, you know
That's
what?
it.
Another thing too about Instagram that I just thought of. So I have a Patreon, and one of my patrons on there that I'm sort of helping him with his online dating. He asked me about Instagram, and he's like, "Well, I'm following all these accounts like Fresh and Fit and Andrew Tate and stuff like that," and it's like those are all, for me, like those are all great accounts to follow, but women will see that and judge the hell out of you for that. So I was like, you know what you might want to do is have a separate account where you're following those guys, and then have an account dedicated for your dating, where you have all of your lifestyle stuff that makes you look cool, and you follow, I don't know, puppies and kittens or whatever, but don't follow Andrew Tate and Fresh and Fit on your Instagram, because chicks are like detectives. They will go through your social media. They will look at everything.
Yeah, your LinkedIn, you name it. Like, I legit had a girl that just told me, "Oh, I found your LinkedIn dating manager." I was like, "Oh, you found my LinkedIn." Oh.
And it's so funny that like women will online stalk you and not be like, they won't apologize for it. They'll like, it's cute, it's funny, but if a guy does it, they're like, "Ooh, that's creepy. This guy's looking me up online. Ew."
Yeah.
But they totally are the worst about it. Women are the worst about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure why, but it is a very interesting observation that guys are not able to get away with that.
Right.
Yeah,
it's like I think women want to make sure that you're not a creep, and that if they meet you in person, that you're not some kind of like serial killer. But a guy wants to make sure that you look like your pictures.
Do you think it's related to? So you think it's related to danger? Do you think that could be the reason?
I think so. For women. But for guys, I used to try to track them down on Facebook to make sure that their pictures on their dating profile matched what they look like in real life. And if it didn't, that's where ghosting happens, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
it's a very interesting conversation, because the kind of shit I've had to deal with over the years with women. I think the worst was probably like in real life, to be honest. I think like in real life, there's just a lot more worse things. But it's probably like the worst things I had to deal with is probably like one time when I was in Thailand, I was trying to hook up with this girl.
Oh,
and
God.
then there was just a lady boy.
Thailand. And, I was gonna say.
I
was gonna say.
Listen.
I was a sailor. I never made it.
Right.
Luckily, I never made it to like Thailand or the Philippines. But there's a lot of that where you're like, oh, this is a really cute girl, and then like, they're not a girl, man. Like,
to be honest, the reality is like I'm very good at like analyzing that. So I never had any issues with like dealing with like if she's but what is worse is like when you have a lady boy, she will have behaviors that are matching to a guy. So I was trying to hook up with this girl, right? We were at a bar and stuff like that. And like I just had a fun conversation with her earlier. Nothing sexual, nothing. But she, or he, however you want to say it, or it, I don't know how she wanted to be called, right?
Right.
Anyway,
whatever she identified as.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
anyway.
she was just like getting aggressive towards my girl, to the point where my girl was like, "Oh, I don't want to hang out with this guy anymore because I have this mad ass lady boy here that's aggressively at me, that's like aggressive towards me." And I was like, Why are you trying to mess up my set? Why are you trying to mess up? I have a fun conversation with this girl. Why go away,
Yeah.
So that's actually the worst part about ladyboys. It's just ruining your normal sets if they have like some idea that they might have a shot with you or anything remotely to that.
Oh, that's funny. I never would have thought about that. Let me ask you this. So also on your profile, you have a note about how men can find their soulmates in 2022. So 2-part question here. How can men do that? And 2, do you actually believe in soulmates? Because I don't believe in soulmates. I think there's many potential partners out there for people. But.
Yeah. I think the whole idea of having a soulmate is probably not a great factor. Like that just doesn't work out because
a lot of people
you just have multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just. Does soulmate imply that there can only be one?
It does. Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah, it's your soul's mate. There's only one. Twin flame, man.
Maybe like my soulmate is bisexual. There needs to be more people who like she needs to have another girl as well, right? that can work out. So you have a guy and like two girls that have soulmates.
Yeah, there you go.
That will work.
So okay, so
anyway,
let's reword that. Then so how can men find a good partner for themselves?
Yeah, because I think that's the most important. Well, it depends on. I think it kind of depends on the person, right? Like you need to look at your own life and what would work in your life. And there's a lot of variables that are important towards like analyzing what is the best approach for you. Because I've partied for like hundreds of times. I went out a lot and I met a lot of girls and I had a lot of those girls like come over and et cetera, et cetera. So I had a lot of conversions that way, right? So I used to think like online dating was for people that don't have the balls to talk to girls, right? And that was my opinion. So
I think a lot of dating coaches and pickup artists out there have that misconception.
Yeah,
I personally think that online dating is the most efficient way of meeting women. But
yes, I agree. Like it's also like back in the days when we talk about like 8 years ago, it's a lot different compared to now. Because now it's just so right now I think it's related like around the course of like 50% of all the relationships come from online dating. So if you're gonna be like 50%, that sounds like a too low of a percentage. I'm not gonna be on an online dating app. Then you might be like, that's not fully correct, right? So there's a lot of people who are getting success with online dating, but it's not the only method. You can also do like going up to girls on the streets or at night, going to bars, et cetera, et cetera. So you need to pick your poison, pick the thing that you think, okay, this is going to work and this is going to work for me. Because like, if you're a type of guy that has like a job where you need to work like an extreme amount of hours and you need to wake up early, going to the bars, good luck. It's not going to work out, right? So pick the method that works for you and then just make sure that you work on it and treat it as like an important thing. That's always what I find extremely fascinating. You have guys, right? Let's take the average guy, or let's say the guy that is into self-development. That person would spend the amount of hours that a person would spend going to the gym, let's say 3 times a week. So that's like 12 hours a month. So that's like 120 hours on a yearly basis, right? And he does that for like 5 years. So we're talking about 600 hours. And now think about how many hours is that person going to spend on his online dating profile? Well, if you're lucky, 5. That's a high estimate, right? So we're comparing something that he would spend 600 hours on versus something that he would spend 5 hours on if you're lucky. So that's like 1%. Well, that's not really how it's supposed to go. Like if you're a person who's like, I think it's important to go to the gym to look good, all those kind of things. Well, at the same time, you need to also market that thing. You spend so much time working on something. You need to put a wrap on it. You need to like package it nicely so it sells, right?
That just made me think of there's so many gym bros out there that are like, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to get buff, and this is what I expect. And they expect women to just be like, oh, your muscles are so big, but what they end up getting is a bunch of other gym bros going, yeah, what kind of protein you drinking, man? That's you're looking pretty swole, bro. Yeah,
that's totally true. That's totally true. Like, and there's I don't know, within the gym bro community, I understand it. Like, I have it a little bit, but like they're fascinated with like each other's physiques and optimizing and checking. It's
kind of gay.
To weird proportions. It's kind of gay. It's very weird. Well, in the end, the only reason they joined the gym is to get pussy. Like, why are you spending so much time on? Like, the only thing you want to do is get pussy.
Well, I think, and I also think there's this misconception with guys that if they go out, they get buff, they get in really great shape, they make a lot of money, that women are just going to magically show up.
Yeah,
it's like, no, dude, you still gotta initiate. You still have to go up and talk to chicks because they're passive. They're waiting for you to talk to them. I don't care how hunky you are.
It's true. And I feel like it's getting worse and worse as well. Like, just like the average, the same goes for online dating. I feel like it's just like they have so much volume that they can go onto that their effort input is not required. Why would they put in any effort? Even if you are a guy, you're higher quality than her, they would still not necessarily be like, oh, I'm going to put in a lot of effort now. they're so goddamn lazy nowadays that they're like, well, if I swipe 10 more times, I have 9 more matches. Therefore, like, why would I or swipe 10 times or come up with something funny to say, right?
Right.
It's crazy.
It really is. I went to a retreat with a dating coach friend of mine, and nice. One of the things that he did, he had his wife sign up for a fake profile on I think it was Bumble, and she just randomly, as they were driving up to the retreat, she just swiped on dudes. Right? She had like 100% match rate. She had literally hundreds of guys in her DMs. And so what the exercise that they showed us, one, I think they were trying to show us to not use dating apps, but what we took from it was women use whatever you open with as a way to filter guys out. And they're just looking at their inbox. They're not actually opening up. Yeah, the preview mode. So they're not looking at the the actual messages. So you have to sort of capture their attention in the first like 7 words. And so the guys that just write "hey" immediately get disqualified. Yeah.
If you say "hey," there's actually like a small chance there's a very big chance she's just not going to read your message because like
she's got hundreds
of in general. That's like 80% says. 80% says, "Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Hello.
You look like trouble." Yeah.
It's just massive. It's just massive the amount of things that if your text icon says that, it's not going to work out. It's just not. Yeah, that's also like, for example, we're like one of the formats that we use related to like texting is we use an IEA model. So the I stands for interest, the E stands for entertainment, and the A stands for attraction. So the I for interest, if you're not getting her interest, she's not even going to listen, right? So if your text message is like, "hey," and you're thinking like, okay, the second message, I'm going to say something spicy or whatever, it's not going to work out. You're not going to get her interest. You're not even allowed to say something. Like, that's kind of like how it is. Yep. There's no way for you to say whatever you wanted to say. No way.
Yeah, just
not going to check out your profile.
Just
either.
Get right to the interesting thing. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. What's an example of like an interesting opener?
So in general, what people like is things related, for example, to them as a person or something triggering. So in general, I think it matches a lot with what works nowadays with like with the algorithms and with clickbait and all those kind of things, right? People are kind of functioning on triggers. Yeah. So the trigger, "hey," it's not a trigger anymore, right? So if you make a video and the video is like, "hey," doesn't do it anymore.
Right.
But if you say like, "there is a problem, there is chaos, this is never going to work out," or you create some sort of artificial drama, even if it's incorrect, that might work better, or might not. It works better, right?
I never thought about that. Yeah, I never thought about that. You're like, "oh my God, I've got this emergency situation." Like you open with that, they're like, "what's the emergency?"
Yeah. So if you can play around with that as well. Like one time I had like this long box of tags this very long tags that I was using just to reopen, just to test if it would work or not. And the text was purely like, "hey," this was like when I was in another country, and it was like, "hey, is this normal? I just saw a guy kick a dog, and I almost got into a fight with the guy because he was like trying to kick a dog. I'm like, what the fuck? Is this normal in this country? Like, what the fuck, you know?" And the girls were really like, "oh my God, no, that's not normal. This is," purely like just to fuck around, And then it's like the girl is like, "what the fuck is this?" But that works because the girl is like instantly like, "what the heck just happened with you?" Right?
There's going to be like people are going to listen to this episode. There's going to be a million guys talking about people kicking dogs and shit now in their openers, and they're all going to get laid. They're all going to get laid.
100% success rate.
So let's we're almost at an hour here. I wanted to ask you about your social media. So
yes,
you have a big following on TikTok and Instagram. What came first, TikTok, Instagram, or Hovalo? Or did you do Hovalo and you're like, "I'm going to gear my TikTok and Instagram for that"?
No, Hovalo came first.
Okay.
I've been doing Hovalo for a couple of years. Like, that's not something that you can easily set up. So Hovalo came first, and then after a while, like you start to develop like marketing strategies that you want to use and deploy for a service. Now the difficult part about like every business has its own like easy points and hard points, right? Mm-hmm. So an easy point with me is like you're excited to talk to me about this topic because you're like, this is interesting, right?
Oh,
because
it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, but at the same time, for most people, this is not necessarily like something that would be useful for them. Well, it would be useful. It's just like our clientele in general, they're like entrepreneurs and professionals, right? Because this doesn't cost like $50 a month because there's just a lot of manual work involved with all the texting and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So every company and every niche has its own benefits and side effects. So you kind of need to work within like, what do you have? What can you offer the market? And so one of the things that my business has is it has the ability to tell stories because we do interesting things.
Yeah.
Online dating is also like very interesting, or dating on its own is very interesting, right? If you have a roofing company, it's much less interesting because you have a roofing company. People are not, if you have a roofer on, you're not super excited like, oh, this is going to be awesome.
Oh, I want to hear about fucking shingles today. Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're on YouTube and you would see like a high production like guy that does a roofing, like with multiple cameras set up and stuff like that, that would work. Because people would be like, oh, this is kind of chill to watch. People are like, oh, this is just laid back between all the people that are like hyped up like us, you know?
Yeah.
Like you have a guy that just talks about roofing. Like, oh, that's actually something that I like. So there's like you need to check what your niche really identifies with. And besides that, like it's so much easier to grow on places like TikTok and Instagram, compare them to other platforms.
Yeah. What do you like better? Because we sort of talked about TikTok being shady. What do you like better, TikTok or Instagram? Because I, for a while, was only on TikTok, promoting the podcast with it, and then I got banned last year. My original TikTok account got banned.
Yeah.
So I had to start all over. And so when I started over, I was like, I'm going to branch out. I'm going to have a Twitter. I'm going to have Instagram, Facebook, all this stuff. And I've noticed that because Instagram is really trying to compete with TikTok, they are seriously pushing Reels right now.
Yeah.
And so I only have
YouTube as well.
Yeah. YouTube's doing great. So at the time of this recording, I have like a little over 3,000 Instagram followers, but I have 23,000 TikTok followers. But my Instagram is getting way more reach with the small amount of followers I have than TikTok. And I'm like, why am I even on TikTok anymore? Like, it sucks.
It's very interesting to analyze that, because that's kind of like the struggle that you're dealing with right now with creators on TikTok. Because reality is TikTok is doing everything to keep people on the platform. So even if you have things like link in bio, if you have link in bio in your comment or in your description, your video description, you're already losing points. TikTok doesn't want that.
Yeah.
So even if you say it in the video, like TikTok has the ability to analyze that and be like, okay, we're going to downgrade this video. So they do everything possible to, and at the same time, you have the creators that are like, hey, listen, I want to make money. I want people to actually click on those things. So there's like a battle going on between the creators wanting to convert the customers and TikTok wanting the visitor to stay on the platform, and kind of like, what's the benefit? What's the benefit for TikTok to have a creator make money? There's none.
Right. Yeah.
They're
trying to keep people on the app so they can make money. Yeah.
Yeah. There's not like, if they would have I think that might be a big one, right? If you would have an integration where they earn like 1 to 5% of what you're selling or something like that, right? That might be massive, because then there's actually an incentive for TikTok to start selling. And like TikTok right now is just purely geared towards getting people addicted to the algorithm and just getting as many people on the platform as possible. And a lot of the people that are on those platforms, they can grow very fast, but at the same time, it's fairly difficult to convert those people. So a lot of the people, they're like, in general, the best strategy, or the strategy that a lot of coaches and those kind of people would use, is they would have a TikTok, and from the TikTok, they're trying to get them to Instagram. So because on Instagram, you can, the DM messaging system works a lot better. So you are able to sell on Instagram DMs, but like doing that on TikTok, that's just a big ass failure.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the way that people make it happen. The people that, that's just the way that works. And it's a weird show. I'm really curious how these platforms are going to evolve. Same with Yeah, same with Twitter. Let's see how that evolves.
Twitter. Man, Twitter just seems like Twitter and Facebook seem like they're dying. Like Facebook, Instagram. I mean, they own Instagram, but I get so much more engagement on Instagram than I do on Facebook. Facebook gets it's like for the old people, and then Twitter.
It's a very niche thing. So, for example, like Facebook groups work in general. Like, so what compared to Instagram selling? So that's like another method. But then again, like how many 14-year-olds have Facebook? Like a lot less, right? So it's getting faded out because you're happy if a 14-year-old has like Instagram. She might only have Snapchat, right? She might only be, I'm only on Snapchat. So I'm really curious how that is going to transition, because like the older people, let's say the people 25 up, they all have Facebook laying around, or let's say 90%, right? The people who haven't deleted it, they still have it laying around, and they're still, I think, on Facebook, the only value, the two things that Facebook value has is like groups and marketplace. But the groups are very interesting. I'm in some groups, like it's great to get to meet people, ask questions. Like I ask a ton of questions, like expat groups and you name it. Like it's a good source of like knowledge in general.
Yeah. My podcast came from a Facebook group, so that makes sense.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. It started out the 3% Man Facebook group on Facebook. So, well, we're at an hour here, so I think we'll wrap up. Where can people find you online, man?
They can go to hovalo.com, so HOVALO.com, or LinkedIn. My name is KoenGeron, so just Koen Geron. So those are the places people can find me, or on TikTok, Dating Advice Daily, and on Instagram, Dating Advice Daily. But Instagram might have a new name soon. So,
okay. I'll ping you before this publishes, so I make sure I get the right name in the description. It's also so I could tag you in all the clips that I post of this. So, all right, man, this was a real fun conversation. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. I think this was the most fun one I've had so far.
Oh, good. That's great.
Yeah.
Tell all your friends. Koen, thanks for joining me, man. I really liked it. It was fun meeting you. Interesting learning about Hovalo and also your world travels. All that kind of stuff was fascinating. You seem like a fun dude to hang around with. Man, yeah, outsourcing your dating is such a unique concept. I personally don't think I would be one of those guys that would want to do that. But then again, I'm a little more hands-on and stuff like that. And I like to get to know people organically, maybe. But I can see the appeal of it, right? There's a lot of guys that are just busy as hell. They don't have time for dating, but yet they still want a relationship. So, if you are one of those guys, definitely check out Koen's social media. The links are in the description, and check out Hovalo. It might be a solution that you want to look into. All right, guys, I want to give another shout out to the Patreon, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. The link's in the description. There's 5 tiers available. The lowest tier is only $5. The premium tier, which is the most popular one, gets you a Zoom call with me every month. It gets you a Telegram call with me every month, and it gets you unlimited tech support over Telegram. So a lot of people are going with that, and I have one Patreon member right now. He's kind of a fun cat. He literally texts me all fucking day long. And we have some interesting conversations, so I don't mind it at all. He seems like a good dude. So, I mean, if you're just bored or whatever, you just want to text, like that's fine too. Tier 3, which is less expensive than the premium tier, gets you unlimited tech support. So check that out. Patreon.com/comeonmanpod. And also be sure to get on the email list and get some free stickers. I will send those to you. Free of charge, postage pay. Don't worry about it. Just get on the email list. I'm trying to build up an email list in case I ever get banned from another platform like I did last year with TikTok. And then we saw what happened with Andrew Tate. So get on the email list. That way, if I do get banned from a platform, I can reach out and say, hey, this is how you can follow me or whatever. So do that. And that's all I have for this week. I guess we'll see you guys next week on Monday. Take care of yourselves.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. New full episodes served hot every Monday morning on your favorite podcast platform of choice. So subscribe now. Follow Paul on social media. The links are in the description. Now, go out and get it.